In a democracy, who truly holds the power to define a crime? Is it the legislators you elect, or is it a single prosecutor who can decide to ignore the laws they write? This fundamental question lies at the heart of a tense confirmation hearing, revealing a deep ideological divide over the very nature of justice in America. Let's look at the key exchange that reveals everything.
To all of you, I enjoyed hearing about and meeting some of your family members. Ms. Morrison, which branch of government passes criminal statutes?
The legislative branch.
Yes, ma'am. And legislators, of course, I think we can agree, are elected by the people. Do you think it would be fair to say that the people in our legislators define criminality for our communities?
That's correct, Senator.
Okay. Do you think it's appropriate for a district attorney to decide to ignore criminal statutes and not to prosecute an entire line of cases?
Thank you, Senator, for that question.
You're welcome.
District attorneys, as you know, are accountable to the people and the citizens who elect them. And I know it has become an issue in elections about the extent to which district attorneys will use the resources of their office to focus on particular categories.
And what do you think about that issue? Do you think it's, let me ask you again, do you think it's appropriate for prosecutors to say, I disagree with the legislature and the people, and I'm not going to prosecute an entire line of cases?
Senator, I think it is appropriate for prosecutors to evaluate each case that comes before them, and almost
Yes,
every
ma'am,
prosecutor.
but that's not what I'm asking. I know you, you're smart, okay? I can tell from your resume. Let me say it again. The people elect their legislators. Legislators say on behalf of the people, this is a crime which society will not tolerate without punishment. Do you think that it's okay for prosecutors to say, I disagree and I'm not going to prosecute an entire line of cases, I don't care who is charged? Do you agree with that?
Senator, I agree that prosecutors have the legal option to use the flexibility given to them.
When they exercise that option, do you agree with that?
I think it would depend on the circumstance under which they're exercising it and what the rationale was for their decision.
Well, what are the circumstances where it's okay to do that?
So I think prosecutors in this country work very difficult jobs under very demanding conditions.
I'll stipulate to that, but we have prosecutors who are saying, to hell with the legislature and the people, we're not going to prosecute an entire line of cases. And I think my question is pretty straightforward. Do you agree with that or disagree with it?
Senator, I have never worked as a prosecutor. I have.
Yes, ma'am, but you've read about it.
Yes, sir.
What's going on? Do you agree with it or disagree with it?
Senator, I don't think I can give a categorical yes or no to that because I think it would depend on the circumstances.
You just answered my question. What do you think about the job being done by District Attorney Krasner? I believe you work for the District Attorney's re-election or election. Do you think he's doing a good job or a bad job?
Senator, I did not actually work on District Attorney Krasner's campaign. I've been an adversary of that office.
I apologize. Do you think he's doing a good job or a bad job?
Senator, I don't think it would be appropriate as a judicial nominee for me to comment on the performance of an elected official.
Why not?
Because there is always a chance that a case could come before me in which someone has, say, a prior conviction from Philadelphia who's then prosecuted in New York, and any commentary that I made on that office could be grounds for
Isn't that convenient? Do you think judges, apparently you think that prosecutors should be able to say, we're not going to prosecute a line of cases and a group of crimes despite the solemn expression of legislative will? Do you think judges should be able to do that? Say, I don't agree with this criminal statute, I'm not going to prosecute, I'm not going to hear cases for any of them.
No, Senator, judges do not prosecute cases, and
I know that, But do you think a judge should say, I don't want to hear, I'm going to dismiss all these cases because I don't agree with the criminal statute? I think you understand my question, Ms. Morrison.
I do, Senator, and I would, I'm trying to recall how you phrased the question. I would agree with you, or at least my position would be that judges cannot refuse to adjudicate or hear a case and ignore the will of the
But
legislature.
district attorneys can.
As executives, they are granted with greater discretion. For example, district attorneys day in and day out
A whole
receive
line of cases.
complaints from the police that they then evaluate based on the evidence.
Do you
and
think a
decide
district
to prosecute.
attorney, it's appropriate for a district attorney saying, look, in the name of social justice, I'm not going to prosecute armed robberies anymore? You agree with that?
Senator, I would stand on my previous answer. I think it would depend on the circumstance. I'm not aware of any district attorney in the country that
How
has
can I
said.
vote for you if you won't answer a straightforward question like that, Counselor?
Senator, I would hope that you would consider the entirety of my record and my qualifications and the work that I've
The
done.
problem is I have. And I see all these comments you've made in favor of the district attorneys who, in the name of social justice, and you've spoken glowingly of all of them, and now you won't answer my question about it. You say it's inappropriate. And I just don't, I think it's really appropriate. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Senator Cruz?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Morrison, you urge this committee to look.
Notice the senator's deliberate strategy. He isn't just asking random questions. He's building a logical trap. He starts by establishing a simple, undeniable foundation. The people elect legislators, and legislators define what is criminal on behalf of the people. This isn't just preamble. It's designed to frame any subsequent disagreement as an act against the will of the public. The nominee, Ms. Morrison, immediately recognizes the danger. When asked if a district attorney can ignore an entire line of criminal statutes, she pivots. Instead of answering the broad question about policy, she reframes it as a prosecutor's duty to evaluate individual cases. This is a classic deflection tactic. Her repeated insistence that it would depend on the circumstance is a refusal to be pinned down on a principle, signaling that she believes there are, in fact, situations where a prosecutor can override legislative will. This entire exchange hinges on a core concept in American government: the separation of powers. The legislative branch writes the laws. The executive branch, which includes prosecutors and district attorneys, enforces those laws. The senator's argument is that refusing to enforce a whole category of laws is a violation of this structure. Ms. Morrison's counterargument is that prosecutorial discretion is a fundamental part of the executive's power, granting them greater flexibility than judges. This isn't just a disagreement. It's a clash over where one branch's power ends and another's begins. Three key themes emerge from this. First, the conflict between democratic will and executive discretion. Are prosecutors servants of the law as written, or are they agents of change with the flexibility to reinterpret justice? Second, the power of a judicial nominee's words. Ms. Morrison's careful non-answers are a calculated strategy to avoid creating a record that could be used against her later. And third, the politicization of the justice system, where a nominee's stance on the actions of controversial figures is seen as a litmus test for their entire judicial philosophy. This isn't just a theoretical debate happening in a quiet hearing room. It has profound real-world consequences. The discussion about not prosecuting an entire line of cases refers directly to the rise of so-called progressive prosecutors in major cities. These district attorneys have often been elected on platforms of promoting social justice and ending mass incarceration. To achieve this, some have announced they will no longer prosecute certain offenses. Think of it like this. Imagine your city council passes a law setting a speed limit of 30 miles per hour. But the police chief announces they believe this law is unfair and, as a matter of policy, they will no longer issue tickets for anyone driving under 50 miles per hour. While they still handle other crimes, they have effectively rewritten the speeding law on their own. The central question is that their job? Or have they overstepped their authority? So, what are the key takeaways from all of this? First, the power of prosecutorial discretion is one of the most significant and contentious issues in the American legal system today. It's a flashpoint in the debate between law and order and criminal justice reform. Second, confirmation hearings are often a game of strategic questioning and calculated evasion. where what isn't said is just as important as what island. The goal for a nominee is to survive the hearing without making a fatal error. Third, this exchange reveals that fundamental questions about the roles of legislators, prosecutors, and judges are far from settled, and your view on them likely shapes your entire political outlook. Ultimately, this hearing forces us to ask a critical question. Should justice be a rigid application of the laws passed by our representatives, or should it be a flexible tool wielded by prosecutors to achieve what they see as a more equitable outcome? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this analysis helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video.